What's up, YouTube? Team Movies here with the Comedy Central roast of Al Baldwin premiering on Comedy Central tonight. I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite Comedy Central roasts of all time. Now, I'm mainly adding the Comedy Central roasts, not really adding just any roasts straight up. So I'm not going to add any Dean Martin roasts on my list, nothing like that. These are only roasts that premiered on Comedy Central. So, with that being said, here's my 10 favorite Comedy Central roasts of all time. Alright, coming in at number 10 is going to be the Comedy Central roast of Joan Rivers, where the people who ended up roasting her included the likes of Carl Reiner, Gilbert Gottfried, Mario Cantone, Whitney Cummings, Tom Otto, Brad Garrett, Robin Quivers, Greg Garado, and Jeff Ross. And also, Captain Griffin was actually the roast master here. I mean, I gotta say, Comedy Central roast of Joan Rivers, it's probably a little messed up to really talk about any jokes about Joan Rivers now because she's no longer with us. But the Comedy Central roast of Joan Rivers was great. I mean, they really they really poked fun at her surgeries and lots of other parts of her and all. I mean, I love, Gilbert Gottfried's jokes. Whitney Cummings' jokes was pretty funny. There was also jokes about Tom Arnold and his marriage with Roseanne. I mean, I like what Jeff Ross said to Tom Arnold. What was your wedding song? How much is that doggy in the window? That was pretty funny. Uh, Lots of jokes pointed at Robin Quivers and all that. I mean, yeah, Comedy Central roast of Joan Rivers was hysterical. But it's a little messed up to really talk about any roasts of her now because I think if she was around, she'll probably want the roast of her to actually be on this list. So, all right. Coming in at number 9 is going to be the Comedy Central roast of Bob Saget. Now, you know, you guys might know Bob Saget as the lovable dad from Full House and all. But yeah, that guy has a dirty mouth. And it really showed on the Comedy Central roast of Bob Saget. Now, now the roast hosting this was, of course, hosted by his Full House co-star John Stamos, and the roasters on the who of course poke fun at Saget include people like Susie Essman, Greg Garado, Bob Postafine, Jim Norton, Jeff Garland, who actually played a fictional Full House executive producer, Sol Schwartz. You also had Gilbert Gottfried, John Lovitz, Norm Macdonald, Cloris Leachman, and of course Jeff Ross. I mean, come on. As well as Sarah Silverman, Luz Black, and Don Rickles, who were pre-recorded here. And you also had interesting people in the audience, like Lori Loughlin and Jody Sweet, and Dave Coulier was in the audience. Obviously, Candace Cameron Bure definitely was in the audience because obvious reasons. She's way too religious for something like this. But yeah, I mean, I love the Comedy Central roast of Bob Saget. I liked it when Cloris Leachman came out and was pretty much saying that she's not there to roast Bob Saget. She's there to, do John Stamos, and there was lots of poking fun at John Lovitz and all that, and there was also poking fun at. I liked how when John Stamos came out, when he was first talking, saying, "Hey, if you're watching this, and if you're here watching, Uncle Jesse give advice to Michelle Tanner, then go fuck yourself." That was pretty funny right there. And yeah, Comedy Central roast of Bob Saget was a great one. And of course, when Bob Saget started, getting back at them, he ended up having a really foul mouth. He ended up saying stuff that you wouldn't expect Danny Tanner to ever say. So, yeah. All right. Coming in at number 8 will be the Comedy Central roast of James Franco. Now, obviously, Seth Rogen was, of course, the roast master, the roast host here. And the people who ended up roasting Franco include the likes of Aziz Ansari, Bill Hader, Jonah Hill, Nick Crow, Natasha Leggero, Jeff Ross, Andy Samberg, and Sarah Silverman. I mean, I think out of all these, I think my favorite has got to be Natasha Leggero's roast. When she was like, well, she really went in all out on James Franco and all, and yeah, Natasha Leggero is a really funny comic, and here she really once again showed of how great of a comic she is. And I like how Jeff Ross came in portraying James Franco's character from Spring Breakers. I thought that was pretty great. There was lots of jokes about Jonah Hill. Like there was like one joke that I think Jeff Ross made saying that Jonah Hill had a got cast in Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, and when Quentin Tarantino mentioned that as a spaghetti western, Jeff Ross would say, "You had me at spaghetti." Yep. And obviously Seth Rogen was gonna produce this because Seth Rogen and James Franco are best buddies or maybe they could be lovers. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. And also I like the jokes of Sarah Silverman here. Andy Samberg's roast. I love Andy Samberg, but I didn't really like his roast on the Comedy Central roast of James Franco, which shame too because I like James. I like Andy Samberg, but All right. Okay, coming in at number 7 is going to the Comedy Central roast of. Now the roast master here who was doing the hosting was Jimmy Kimmel, and hold on. All right, I'll just talk louder. Anyway, yeah, with the Comedy Central roast of Pamela Anderson, a couple of the people who was on the who was also roasting Pam Anderson include people like Courtney Love, Adam Carolla, B. Arthur, Nick the Polio, Greg Garado, Elan Gold, Eddie Griffin, Lady Bunny, Lisa Lampanelli, Tommy Lee, Jeff Ross, Sarah Silverman, Andy Samberg, as well as David Spade and Hugh Hefner. He was even here. Sorry about that. Anyway, of course, the Comedy Central roast of Pamela Anderson really went in depth on. Not to mention Tommy Lee was also the roaster as well, and they were poking fun at Pamela Anderson's sex tape with Tommy Lee. They were poking fun at Tommy Lee's you know uh dingaling and all. And of course they were poking fun at Pamela Anderson's surgery, body parts, what I'm talking about, and her time on Baywatch and all. It was also pretty cool seeing B. Arthur in this show. Who knew that that the lady from Golden Girls would have a foul mouth? Whoever knew that? And I liked how when Andy Samberg told B. Arthur, that she looked good tonight. Then then Jeff Ross went in on saying, "I want to fuck B. Arthur with Andy Dick's pussy." Oh man, that's a pretty funny one. But Lisa Lampanelli was pretty funny. Greg Girardo, I like loads of his jokes here. Of Courtney Love was probably the worst one. I mean, it proves that Courtney Love cannot do comedy at all. I mean, she's a good singer. She was married to one of the most iconic rocker of all time, Kurt Cobain. But she definitely should not do stand up ever. Like, seriously. She was the worst out of the roasters. I mean, yeah. And not to mention, Anna Nicole Smith was also in the audience too. Obviously, this was before Anna Nicole Smith and B. Arthur passed away. So, but yeah, the roast of Pamela Anderson was really funny, and she's of course not the only. Obviously, she's not the only Baywatch star to get roasted too. I'm gonna get you that later on. All right, coming in at number. All right, coming in at number 6 was last year, but it's still funny. Coming in at number 6 is going to the Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis. Now, the roastmaster host was Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and the people who made, who were poking fun at Bruce Willis included Sybil Shepherd, Ed Norton, Nikki Glazer, Lil Rel Howery, Dama Herrera, Kevin Pollak, Dennis Rodman, Martha Stewart, and of course Jeff Ross, and Demi Moore also made an appearance as well. I like one of the jokes where Jeff Ross was saying, "Bruce, you look like Elmer Fudd, except instead for hunting rascally rabbits, he's hunting for bad scripts." And Martha Stewart was actually not all that bad. Ed Norton, who of course just worked with Bruce Willis on the upcoming film Mullet's Brooklyn, which looks great by the way. That was pretty great. I mean, I loved all the jokes of Bruce Willis's bad films that he's been doing. I mean, let's be for real. Bruce Willis he has not been doing great with movies lately. Like his career has been in the tubes. So it was pretty fun that they were poking fun at him. And obviously, when Bruce Willis came on stage, he reminded everyone that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. So there's that. And Nikki Glazer, I love Nikki Glazer. I think she is hysterical on these roasts. And yeah, the roast of Bruce Willis was a hysterical one. All right, coming in at number 5 will be the Comedy Central roast of Charlie Sheen. Now, of course, this actually premiered like a week. I think it was the same day that Two and a Half Men with Ashton Kutcher premiered on screen. And the roast master general who hosted this was Seth MacFarlane, and the roasters include the people like Anthony Jeselnik, John Lovitz, Patrice O'Neill, rest in peace by the way, Patrice, Jeff Ross, Amy Schumer, William Shatner, and even Steve-O, as well as Mike Tyson and Kate Welch. Which, by the way, Mike Tyson, he was pretty funny in Hangover, but he cannot do stand-up that great in this. I mean, I didn't really thought Mike Tyson was all that great. And there's, of course, jokes about Charlie Sheen, hiring, hookers and all, and, him doing, like, alcohol and drugs, and, of course, and I like how Amy Schumer says that of course he was big in the 90s, and now his slot is being filled with Ashton Kutcher because he's like Bruce Willis and all. Yeah, the Comedy Central roast of Charlie Sheen was a funny one, and I really quite enjoyed it. So, and and of course, Seth MacFarlane as the roaster was pretty funny. Jeff Ross was hilarious here. I mean, yeah, and Charlie Sheen, I loved how he made poke fun at himself. That was pretty cool. So yeah, the roast of Charlie Sheen was a great one. All right, coming in at number 4, I'm going with the Comedy Central roast of Rob Lowe. Now, it was pretty cool seeing. Now with Rob Lowe, they pretty much went all out. They were talking about his you know his intimate affairs. I'm not going to go into any details, but if you guys know much about Rob Lowe, you know what I'm talking about. And a couple of the roast masters include people like not to mention David Spade was the roast host here. The roasters on the Incidents include people like Jimmy Carr, who was savage, by the way. For some reason, and Coulter they added here. Pete Davidson, Nikki Glazer, Jewel, Ralph Macchio, Peyton Manning, Rob Riggle, Jeff Ross, and Amy Poe actually made a appearance. I mean, I feel like this was more of a Comedy Central roast of Ann Coulter more than a roast of Rob Lowe. Like, they went in all out on Ann Coulter. I mean, I think there was like more poker fun at Ann Coulter than there was of Jeff Ross. Or I mean Rob Lowe, I meant to say. I mean, Jimmy Carr was the savage of them all, and as well as Nikki Glazer was pretty savage. Jeff Ross was pretty savage to Ann Coulter. I mean, dang, and even who was even funny here was actually Peyton Manning. Like most of the sportsers. Most people who do sports are not really comedians, but I gotta say, Peyton Manning was pretty funny here. And yeah, the roast of Rob Lowe is a really funny one. All right, coming in at number 3 is going to the Comedy Central roast of David Hasselhoff. Now, this is a really funny one. I mean, it was also roast. It was, hosted once again by Seth MacFarlane, and the roasters here include people like Jeff Ross, Pamela Anderson, Lisa Lampanelli, Hulk Hogan, Jerry Springer, Whitney Cummings, Greg Garado, which, by the way, this was his final roast before his passing. Other people here included George Hamilton, Gilbert Gottfried, while Sharon Osbourne and Pierce Morgan made a tape appearance, while William Daniels ended up reprising his role as Kit, so we actually saw the return of Kit on stage. And Hulk Hogan was actually really funny here, too. Like, I mean, Hulk Hogan really, he went full on savage. Like, he went a little too much, but, yeah, I mean, he really went in on out on, he made fun at Lisa Lampanelli by calling her Andre the Giant. Also, there was like poking fun at David Hasselhoff's hamburger commercial, as well as his time on Baywatch, his acting, and all that. Like, let's be for real, David Hasselhoff's not a good actor. Let's be for real there. And I liked what Jeff Ross said. What are the odds that an alcoholic gets cast in a show about a car that drives itself? That's a pretty funny one. I mean, the David Hasselhoff one is hilarious. If you guys never seen it yet, give that one a shot. All right, my number 2 favorite Comedy Central roast will be the Comedy Central roast of Justin Bieber. Now, the host of this was, of course, was hosted by Joe Segura. No, not was hosted by Kevin Hart. I mentioned that. And the notable people who appeared on the days included people like Hannibal Buress, Pete Davidson, Chris D'Elia, Will Ferrell appeared as Ron Burgundy, Natasha Leggero, who was probably the savage out of the gang, Ludacris, Shaquille O'Neal, Snoop Dogg, Martha Stewart, and Jeff Ross. And I thought Natasha Leggero was the savagest of them all. And of course, there was jokes about Bieber's relationship with Selena Gomez and all that. And there was jokes. There was of course jokes about just about Justin Bieber in a doing the baby music video with Ludacris. Obviously, that's why Ludacris was there. Yeah, Comedy Central roast of Justin Bieber was really savage, and even it was cool seeing Justin Bieber take a crack at making fun of himself, like talk about his his best friend who's the monkey that he ended up keeping and all. And Justin Bieber, by the way, was actually the youngest person to get roasted because he was only 21 at the time. Which makes me think I love to see that a bad baby get roasted one of these days. I mean that would be funny to watch. But anyway, yeah, the roast of Justin Bieber was a really funny one, and it was pretty odd seeing Martha Stewart on this. But and I like how Hannibal Buress was saying that he doesn't like Justin Bieber's music, but he's just there for the drill and all that, and it's like a good opportunity for him to make fun at Bieber and all. So yeah, I mean, like I don't know if Bieber was like maybe like crying or whatever, but yeah, I mean that was a pretty good one right there. All right, now what is the best Comedy Central roast of all time? It's an obvious one, and it's not because it's cool to hate him now, and it's not because he's president now and all that. But I'm just saying right now, the best Comedy Central roast of all time is going automatically to Donald Trump. Now I know I'm not gonna get political, like talk about his presidential stuff or anything like that. I'm just only talking about his roast, which obviously premiered like way before he ran for president and all that, and way before he became president. And the host of this was, of course, hosted by Seth MacFarlane, and the people who was like also roasting Trump included people like Whitney Cummings, Gilbert Gottfried, Anthony Jeselnik, Larry King, Lisa Lampanelli, Molly Matlin, Jeff Ross, Snoop Dogg, as well as Mike the Situation Sorrentino. And there was lots of jokes of the situation. There was lots of jokes of the Jersey Shore and all. There was of course lots of jokes of Donald Trump, wanting to run for the White House, like for president and all that. And Molly Matlin was pretty funny too, even though she didn't really do much comedy. Like she started out doing some comedy, like doing some roasting, but Gilbert Gottfried ended up kind of interrupting her really, and that was pretty funny. Like there, like I mean, when Gilbert Gottfried was doing his comedy, Molly Matlin, who by the way is deaf, had to actually cover her ears. I'm like, Gilbert Gottfried's voice is so loud, crazy to think that even a deaf person could actually hear Gilbert Gottfried well. But I never knew that Gilbert Gottfried knew sign language. By the way, that's something I never knew actually. But yeah, there was like it was kind of weird seeing Snoop Dogg here because now if you talk to Snoop Dogg about Trump, he'll like when Trump ended up being president, or he was making a video about like he wanted to leave U.S. and all that, and so it's kind of weird seeing Snoop Dogg roasting Trump and all. So that always found that to be a little weird. Anthony Jeselnik was savage. Jeff Ross was savage. I mean, I liked it when he was saying that him and Trump has a couple of stuff in common. Like they're both from New York. They both fantasize about Trump's door and all that. That was pretty savage right there. The worst one that has got to be the situation. I thought the situation was horrible on this roast. But still, that being said, the Comedy Central roast of Donald Trump was hilarious. And I don't like Trump at all. Like I don't like that guy at all. But I gotta say, if I gotta choose anything about him anything that he done in the past that I kind of did like, one of them is his cameo in both Little Rascals and Home Alone 2. I thought that was pretty good. And another one, he was actually a really good sport when he was poking fun at everyone and when he got up to do to get back at the roasters and all. Otto Trump was actually pretty good at stand up. I even said that the guy should actually instead of being a president, he should do stand up because he was actually pretty good as a stand up comic here. But so that being said, the roast of Donald Trump is definitely the best one. Not because it's cool to like it's funny to poke fun at him and all that, but it was still a funny one. Like, yeah, if you guys haven't seen the comment section roast of Trump yet, give it a go. It's a really funny one. All right, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, the roast of Joan Rivers. 9, the roast of Bob Saget. 8, the roast of James Franco. 7, the roast of Pamela Anderson. 6, the roast of Bruce Willis. 5, the roast of Charlie Sheen. 4, the roast of Rob Lowe. 3, the roast of David Hasselhoff. 2, the roast of Justin Bieber. And 1, the roast of Donald Trump. Now there was a couple of other good ones, like there's the Comedy Central roast of Flavor Flav. That was great. The Comedy Central roast of Roseanne Barr was great. The Comedy Central roast of Larry the Cable Guy was a great one. I mean, there's been some great Comedy Central roasts, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to get roasted in the near future after Borden. And can't wait to see the Borden roast, by the way. Anyway, let me leave it to you guys. What are some of your favorite Comedy Central roasts? And also, bonus questions, who would you love to see get roasted on Comedy Central in the near future? Like I said, I'd love to see maybe a Kanye West get roasted. Probably the girl Danelle Baroli, who's the Bad Bunny girl from Dr. Phil. I'd love to see her get roasted. But anyway, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here, C Movie signing off.